Alrighty, and back. So, law, huh? Law it is then. Which reminds me, at some point we should totally do a Dread percent run. Where, like, I would just start off with Buccaneers, Dragoons, and Fusiliers, and then just do, like, pistol only. Ah, that sounds like fun. So we're gonna go down the law! Except, in this case, the law involves kind of burninating stuff. Don't need to save. Get our full team finally. Now, in order to survive, we are going to need us some skills. Alright. Pick up Tremendous and Trajectory if we can get it on everybody. If not, then just Trajectory. But yeah, Law is basically the redemption route, if anybody's seeing this and has not played this before. It's basically the everybody's a terrible person and you're trying to be a slightly less terrible person kind of situation. Alright, I think we might have just enough for most people to get the full set here. Oh, I didn't even need to, yeah, I didn't even need to go that far. Okay, we just need one. Also, I got asked this last time. If anybody's unaware, the menus in this game are actually a lot more interactive than you probably may know. So if you're ever wondering how you're doing this whole skipping around to different menus thing, you just hold down square. That's kind of your contextual do stuff better button. But yeah, it never bothers to tell you this, so it's like one of those weird things where even after like 7 years of playing the game, I was watching WeGraph's run, his 100% run. I'm like, how is he going through the menus? And then I'm like looking and noticing how it has square everywhere. I'm like, wait a minute, has it seriously been there this whole time? Man, felt real stupid after that one. Like 7 years or whatever playing the game, never realized how to skip through menus. And then after that, you know, was going through OV for like the third time or something like that. And that's when Rakes pointed out, like, hey, you do know you can just readjust your skill list, right? Like, your spell list or whatever else. You can just move stuff. You can stop asking me to rename things. I'm like, oh. So you're telling me they could have adjusted it this whole time? Oh, man. Like, granted, it wasn't exactly in that kind of tone, but it's like, you just go in the menu and you resort stuff. You don't actually have to do all that. Here, I'll show you in just a sec. Yeah, I can get this on everybody. Nice. Alright, let's see here. Let's do this thing. So, Trajectory, Augment Light, get out of here. We're not going to need you pretty much ever. But yeah, you can just move stuff. So whatever order you want it to be in. And from then on, for every single character, it will appear in that order. So if you wanted heal at the top, you move it here. If you wanted exorcism at the top, you would move it here. If you need a whole lot of innervate, whatever, you can resort any of them in any order you want. The only, like, literally the only downside is just if you want to use different orders for every character, you can't quite do that, but, I mean, you can resort your skill list, so it's fine. I hope more from you, Ducky, she says in what I assume to be a very Southern Belle type voice. Alright, so... Alright, do we try to save her? Try to save Waifu Lady? Again, I'm not sure why so many people are super into Ravenous, to be totally honest. Because, like, literally her whole character is, hey, I came from a mixed background, feel bad for me. And that's kind of about it. And then she kind of looks like Agris. But then all the artwork came out and they're like, look, she's doing poses. Quick, don't you love her as a character now? Showing a lot of leg. Like, well, people got priorities, I guess. Right, I'm just gonna push everybody down the center. The plan is basically just to SWAT team this crap. We're just gonna go in and get Trajectory going, and then just try to smack everybody out of the way. Gonna try to ignore Ravenous if at all possible. Gonna try to use Cashua to keep everybody going. We might take some injuries here, so we'll see how it goes. And then after this, it should be 3 battles that we have to hold out. And then after those 3, we should be getting our other classes. And we can start doing some other things. Right. That's a great start. Alright, that missed. I was kind of like that random tuba in the middle of this piece. It was like that do 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 do. It's like the one guy that's all jaunty while everybody else is all stressed out. Love it. I love it. Love it real good. I had to go get myself some more coffee. Stuff's just dang good. See, the nice thing is, if you're over-leveled, she'll actually fight for you. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it's hilarious. She's just going around trying to see the most damage that she can do, so seeing as the majority of her damage comes from her Spirit Surge, she's usually looking around like, well, that Berserker will take a far better hit than these beefy boys will. And so that's what she does. Alright, let's get trajectory going on everyone. Oh yeah, up. I don't know if that very loud yawn just came through. Okay, we're all good back there. Yeah. Every time there's noise, there's always that immediate moment of, do I have to run? Usually the answer is no. I mean, kids make a lot of concerning noises while being perfectly fine. There's just always that nagging thought of, like, jump in to do stuff. Which sometimes ends up causing more problems than it actually fixes. Because he'll just be there, like, in the middle of carrying groceries, and it's like, oh, wait, crap, I gotta go drop everything, the baby's coughing. It's like, oh. They just coughs. That's it. It's just fine. They had a little cough. But such is life. I will be right back. I believe the snack wars have started. One moment. crap, I left it all laggy again. Anyway, the snack wars have resulted in a peaceful resolution. Moving on then. Let's take -1 moves. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It always seems like taking one tile less than their maximum movement seems to almost be the ideal in terms of how far you can go. Like in terms of how quick you recover and everything. Something about that extra tile. Like I don't know if they actually cost extra because they were originally Swiftfoot or something like that. But basically, every character that used to have Swiftfoot just basically automatically has it from the very start of the game. If you didn't know. So it's not that they necessarily got 1 extra movement. It's, well, I mean, it's, I guess exactly that. But functionally speaking, yes, they get 1 extra tile. But I wonder if mechanically, like they actually have it built in, or if they actually have 1 extra tile of movement. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was put together for the mod that was kind of like workarounds and things like that. Because technically, all I remember Rake saying was that they got the extra movement. So that they just automatically had their, I think like the first rank of jump and then Swiftfoot already built in. Just so that they're not taking up a slot, because you basically would never not use those. I mean, technically speaking, even right now going through vanilla, there's some characters that I have Swiftfoot on that I don't actually put into the slots except for very certain situations. But even then, yeah, like. It's definitely one of those ones you always want to have on there, because I always kind of just like it always kind of feels sucky when you have those kinds of things available. This actually applies to I guess less so in FFT because there's so many different movement options, but there's always that like kind of sucky feeling whenever whenever you know that there's a movement on there, like a different like some kind of movement modifier of some description, and it's just like It's like, why am I immediately forgetting how to move that way when I turn on this other one? But see, that's why I liked what they did with what's it, FFTA2, because they ended up getting rid of a lot of that. You basically just had your main skill set, you had your secondary, then you had reaction and a passive. So you got rid of your movement stuff, which tended to help out pretty surprisingly. It ended up doing a lot of good things. Alright, let's go ahead and move here. Now, I'm hoping if time permits, we can get almost all the way to Chapter 2, or at least halfway through Chapter 2. Or to Chapter 3, I'm saying. Turn on your trajectory. Yeah, this completely changes the game as far as routing archers goes now. It's like, yeah, you can take your accurate shots. You got your SWAT team set up here. They're not going to do a ton of damage unless you specifically train them for only this one thing. But them suckers are going to hit. So they're way more reliable now. Alright, weaken that guy a little bit. Some of those back rowers can take care of the 2 fencers. I will never not call them fencers, by the way. I know they're spellblades, I know. There's always that one guy, it's like, no, they're spellblades though. Get it right, oh my god. But, yeah, no. There's one guy in particular that tends to PM me about it that I think might be just doing that as a joke now. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna assume she's gonna go for that right side stab through Felicia to go hit that guy. I'm gonna see if he does. Try to push through past this knight. Alright. Never mind. It's odd. Would have expected her to go for the high damage stab, unless she came in with a light spear for some reason. She should have a Volge though. Oh no, interesting. Right, she does swords now. That's right. Because she's supposed to be the Agrius. Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, you may wonder, like, despite the fact that I absolutely love spears all the time, why exactly why I would like the fact that she doesn't have spears anymore. Which, I mean, obviously she's supposed to be the Agrias character, but for another thing, it's the fact that every single rune fencer, or whatever else, like, throughout all the game, uses the same build. Like, there's one guy, one exception, that isn't just some rando. The only named character that doesn't do the whole, like, I only use spears but I carry around a sword skill for no particular reason type setup is Vance. And he comes in with crossbows and one-handed swords. Every single other one uses, just like, says they use swords and then they use spears. Because the spears technically have slightly higher stats, despite the fact that they have completely worse damage. Because the formula was a little bit jank. Because I think they were supposed to be way stronger than they actually were, and they might have gotten nerfed at some point. Because, I mean, they were really, really strong in vanilla, they were really good in Night of Lotus, and then for some reason in OB64 and in the PSP remake of Lux, they were just, like, the lowest of the garbage tier. Well, I guess with the Lux remake, that kind of depended. Because once you got to the very end, once you got your triple hit move, that was really, really good, but to actually get to that point was a bit of a long journey. And if you had characters specifically using only spears, only building their characters to build spear stats and everything else, by the time you got to endgame, they were, even once their equipment got updated, they were functionally worthless. Which I think was largely because a big part of their leveling gap was meant to be filled out by the Colcrium. Because you basically you had your Damask thing, which lasted for a little bit, it had a little bit of power to it. Then you were supposed to go get something like the Hatch, for example, and then from there you were supposed to, actually let's go ahead and just tremendous this. And then from there you were supposed to have the Colcrium as the standard up until you ended up getting the late game Elemental Spears. Which basically meant if you were going for an Earth Elemental character, you got completely screwed. Because basically all the Earth stuff was just like you got the Hatch really early, so that was your Earth Spear, and then that was kind of it. I forget if the modified Volcadius was still Fire or Earth or whatever. I almost never went for that one. Like I think I only ever got it once, and it was kind of meh. But it was generally like, even with like a light elemental build, like the most recent run, the way that I had it set up was I had a, is that the last one? Yeah, it is. I had a character that was basically the standard like divine plus spear kind of fencer, and they were okay through most of the game, doing their whole healing thing, doing their whole support thing. Like they were a good support healer for the most part. The whole free heal 3 and all that kind of thing was very useful. Free bonus swiftness and all that. Anywho, so that was all well and handy, but yeah, they were doing like 1 to 10 damage, even with a Colcrium, even with upgraded gear, even like a Might +1 and all that kind of thing. They were just doing nothing. Even, I think they had like rank 5 spears and I think like rank 3 or 4 divine. So they were getting pretty up there in terms of their ranks. I tried a spearing on them. No luck there. Tried the elemental buff. It was slightly better for their casting, but even then they were doing almost nothing. Like there was something about rune fencers that must have been really overpowered at some point, because it feels like they got nerfed at the last second and then never rebalanced. It's like spears too. Spears have very, very limited access in terms of who can actually use them in vanilla, and they seem really underpowered for it. Like for example, two-handed bows. Okay, there's only two classes that can, or I guess technically 3, that can use them. So you've got rangers, you've got your lord, and you've got your archers. So archers can barely move, but even though they were strong as all crap. Lord character was pretty overpowered but unique, and then your ranger was also unique. So, you know, they at least tried to limit them somewhat. You had your, your one-handed katanas and all that kind of thing. Very, okay, don't know why I'd counter that. Very, overall, you know, a bit more than decent kind of weapons and all that. But they still limited them to almost no classes. I think there was only one that could ever use it. Unless I'm forgetting anybody. Oh! Oh wait, we're in Chapter 2, that's why. I was gonna say, we lost control of Cashwell, but no. We're in Chapter 2, so guest control only extends to the end of Chapter 1 right now. Because, oh, by the way, interesting thing. It seems that when this was being put together, they manually inserted every single unit in the frickin' game. Can you believe that? Like, apparently there aren't any templates. It's literally every single one's freaking unique. So, the most recent update that he put out there, apparently there's like 12,000 characters to go through to go and update every one of their skill sets and all of their equipment through each route and setup and everything else. So, yeah, now the running joke is that he was hoping that he could actually finish the mod before he's 60. So, let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's let's say no. What are you on? That's the way you were ordering this. I don't know if he had any actual executive decision as to how they went about this. That's kind of why I've been going through vanilla once again lately, because I've been trying to figure out what the logic was behind doing it that way. Which I can only here's the thing. The weird part about all this. They went through all that effort to individually hand place every single character in the game, despite thousands of characters in the game. Like it's ridiculous, right? They went through all that effort, and the one thing that every game has done consistently up to this point is that when you want a character to drop a particular item, they use that friggin' item. Cursed weapons even don't have a level requirement, so they could have showed up on anyone and not been overpowered, because they're like, okay, look, there's a friggin' guy with a cursed bow right there. He's the guy that I would have to fight to get the cursed bow. They're like, oh, there's the guy holding the Volcadius. If I beat him, I'll get the Volcadius. That's been the rule, for the entire friggin' series, and then that's the one thing they don't do. It seems like they almost tried to do it. I have a running theory here that at some point there was supposed to be a third set of scaling. Like, either there was supposed to be a universal scaling that they tried to do templates for and they couldn't get it to work, or that they tried to do some third set of scaling in which they would have actually used those items. Because in some rare cases that does happen. Like, if you go to the completely maxed level characters, once you get to the Knight Commander Coda bosses and things like that, by that point, they do start following that rule. It's still a very rare drop for them to drop their particular unique items, but it's there. Like, the guy holding the Volcadius is the guy that's going to drop the Volcadius. The guy holding the Ambiscian is the one that's going to drop it. And yeah, it's very strange that that's the one thing they didn't do. Which, one could argue that it's because everyone... Oh, sorry, my nose is being weird. One could argue that it's because they had to set a minimum level, because each of those items are pretty strong, so they try to make them all 30+, so they would have had to be 30+ in order to be using them, and they couldn't just force them to use them. Interestingly enough, if you force characters to use items that they shouldn't be able to use, they will still use them just fine, so I'm not sure what they were worried about, unless the spawn system can't do that. Anyway. Point being, though, yeah, it seems like they did all of that in order to put unique items on everybody, and then maybe realized way too late. Like, after they had already done thousands of them, they're like, wait a minute, we have all these unique items we can't actually put on anybody, what do we do? And then I have a feeling, and I've yet to ask Rakes about this, so take it with a grain of salt, but I have a theory that the cursed weapons are actually in the spawn list for the cursed weapon holders. But technically, they've got no stats, so they would never use them. I should ask him about that. Actually, where's my phone? Oh, sweet! So, it looks like the community run will continue this weekend, again. Good. Good. Could ask Rakes if he by any chance found evidence of this theory. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let's see. That seems excessive. Sorry. Let's see. He wants to avert modders. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, were tactics over modders even a thing at that point? I mean, I'm pretty sure most people looked at the mods and everything. They're just, or looked at all the games. They're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. We're we're just gonna go ahead and maybe discover the secrets of the universe instead. Like, I'm legitimately impressed how much we've gotten in terms of mods for this series. Because every time that I hear stories from people as far as the inner workings of these things, with exception of OB64, it seems like the 64 was handled a bit better than the others. But yeah, apparently they're just a complete clusterfuck, which is why, despite having no evidence towards it, I'm still kind of convinced that that they had Matsuno just kind of sitting in there like, yeah, it's like, let's make this nuts. Just sitting there, it's like snorting lines of coke off his desk. I don't know, that's just my image of the guy at this point. He's just sitting there and doing drugs off his desk, and just a bunch of programmers are just clacking along off in the background. It's like, quick, let's try to implement 48 new features by this afternoon. The guy has demanded it. Apparently he's going to try to feed everybody's souls into some kind of, he's just going to Snapdragon everybody that doesn't get their job done. Just like Snapdragons people into a pen. Just carries the giant bucket of pens around. It's like, this is what happened at the last programming department. Don't make the same mistake. Do not disappoint me. Alright. And you nailed this. Hell yeah, you can. See, this is great. I love being able to carry trajectory on everybody now. Like, there's a justifiable reason for it. It's wonderful. I love this change. Because, I mean, before it was just kind of like dead weight in terms of your slots. I mean, you might as well have used it in one vision, I guess. Because archers generally run with less stuff. Let's see, do you watch Black Mirror, specifically the Star Trek type episode? I haven't gotten too much into it. I tried... Okay, here's the thing. I watched the first couple episodes, and I was watching it with a wife, and she really didn't like it, so... Generally speaking, most of the time when we're watching shows, it's kind of later in the day, and she's usually had a much rougher day than I've had. Like, usually, you know, usually her work is a fair bit more stressful than watching the kids, so... speaking of, one moment. Alright, and back. Had some noses to clean. Back to it then. So the lead programmer there is what Matsuno's doing in his game. Very possible. I'll check it out. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, usually, like, even though I know that there's definitely the choice of, like, I can go pick a show if I want, it's just like, okay. One of us has clearly had the more stressful day, they should be the one that gets to pick the show. That's kind of my policy on that one. It's like, whoever's had the suckier day, they pick the show. It's like the last time I actually went out of my way to go watch a show all the way through was Altered Carbon, because my brother had shown it to me, and it seemed pretty dang awesome. God, it was awesome up until that ending. Why did I watch that ending? Just, let me put it this way: if you ever watch our Altered Carbon, if you want to have the best experience with that show, watch it up until the part with the cage fight scene. Once that episode ends, congratulations. There's your happy ending. It's fine. Everything's just great after that. Don't worry about it. There's the end of your show. Because you're never going to get the resolution you want. Let me put it that way. Because the actual resolution... Okay, without any spoilers, let's put it this way. If, the main mystery of the show, it gets completely forgotten, like, kind of right after that point. There's one very cool scene right before that moment. It's like, actually, you know what? No. You know when it should end? It should end right after the Hello Kitty backpack scene. Like, if you want to see the greatest moment you will ever see in that show, just go look up Altered Carbon, like, Hello Kitty scene. And there you go. You've watched the best part of that show. Because it was so cool up to that point. I just can't believe how... It bugs me so much, because I know exactly why it happened. Because it's like, it's a very, like, anime-esque thing that at the very last second they're like, we need sibling drama, and we need to have a big old metaphysical thing for no frickin' reason. Like, it pulled the same crap that the Paranoia Agent pulled. Like, where it's just this, like, hard-boiled, down-to-earth story, and then right at the very end they're like, no, but it's magic or something, I don't know, demons. Just like, why? It was so good. Why did you kill it? Why must you stomp on its testicles so? And so, yeah, that's kind of where that went. Alright, there we go, looking for my save state button. I know it's technically a type of saving, but it's mostly there in case the emulator janks up or something. Speaking of, I need to remember not to do that next time when I go do the, once we go through and do, the vanilla one-eyed night run again. Because, yeah, it turns out that run kind of got deleted because I was only using save states, apparently. So, we'll do that at some point. That some point is not today or anytime soonish. But yeah, whenever we get around to it, I'm going to be redoing that from scratch. Also, I'm probably going to be putting some more limitations on the run. And just, like, for example, no, like, multi-class metagaming. We'll see. Like, I'm probably still going to use clerics for free base stats and stuff like that, but... I don't know. That game, or that version of the game, tends to get really ruined by multi-archers. Like, when I've been doing my Iron Man run lately for the last few months, just kind of going back to it every now and then. Which is probably the best way to experience that version. It's just, you keep going back to it every now and then. Kind of like an MMO, which is fitting given how they balanced it. Yeah, it's gonna be slightly too far. But yeah, you know, you just go through Palace of the Dead, or, you know, go through a couple chapters of the story or something, put it away for a little bit, come back. Because, it eventually gets, like, it has these little barriers, which is probably the biggest thing that this mod addressed. Like, just random barriers where just out of nowhere, all of your stuff that you've been using becomes worthless. So you gotta readjust your entire party, which seems like it would be really dynamic, but it isn't. Like, it feels like it should be more dynamic than it is. Like, I know I compared a lot to XCOM 2, but that's kind of what it felt like. Like, where you have those moments where suddenly all kinds of new units appear and everything. It's like, okay, you know, now's the moment where you gotta go through and you gotta refit your entire party and you gotta re-up your strategies and everything. And it's fine, like, those moments are great when they're done well, but then, like, the way that they did it is usually not, your stuff is less effective, so you're having a harder time and maybe you start taking casualties or whatever. Instead, it's like, everything does 1 damage now, go recruit some people, get some new equipment, go, you know, look for items in places that you probably wouldn't really think to look, that kind of thing. Alright, so that should have been the shop update as well. Okay, we got robes, we got gaunts. Let's see what we want to do here. I'm not getting updated bows for a little while, though. But... Recipe books aren't available at this point anymore? Interesting. Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, moving on. Yeah. So, speaking of Netflix stuff, by the way, it's actually funny how nowadays so much weird stuff has just become normal, especially since was it 2016 now? Like, so much stuff that would have been the most scandalous crap ever is just normal now. Like, Black Mirror still holds up pretty well with that first episode, but man, like, the entirety of Scandal, if you've ever watched that show, it just seems so quaint now. Like, oh man, they're afraid, you know, they're afraid somebody's gonna know about this relationship or whatever else. Now it's like, dude's paying off porn stars and everybody knows it. Like, there's all this other shady crap and stuff being made up on a daily basis that's just... It's like, man. Can we have some time travel? Like, either just go backward or forward, or just not now. If anything's left of the forward part. It's kind of makes you wonder where exactly the break point is of all of it. How on earth everything's gotten as far as it has. Like, the sucky part is, if anybody's a fan of history, it does feel a lot like a kind of lame version of the Caesar takeover. So if you're unfamiliar with what happened there, basically what happened with Caesar is that technically he shouldn't have come to power at all. But he basically went and abused a bunch of technicalities and like very situational stuff to more or less make use of all the gaps in government power that were around at the time to put himself in as a dictator. Which is kind of what's sort of mass attempted at the moment. It's like, I wouldn't say it succeeded or failed, it's just more like it's there. And it's weird to read about, and nobody can really do anything about it, but it's not as bad as it could be. So, I mean, like, there's not... How do I put this? It's like an attempt at a dictatorship, but it's also a really bad attempt at it. So, who knows? Like, at least the people trying it are mostly just, like, seemingly blinded by hate or rage at very random things. Specifically, very random people. So, I mean, maybe it won't be so bad, but it's depressing all the same. And I know I've personally gotten screwed over on multiple occasions, just on random days for no particular reason. And it's just stuff that's had to be dealt with. And it still keeps going and going and going. And hopefully the stupid ends at some point. Who knows? Alright, I will say one thing on the law route here is that the start of it is very easy. You just like run into every squishy class at once doing the squishy class thing. So it's definitely a lot easier with early bows. Once we get to Aceton, I think that's when we should be getting new class marks, either before or after the second Aceton fight. We'll see. We will see. Oh. That was weird. Coffee made my throat all dehydrated, and I made a weird yodeling sound. Sorry for anybody's eardrums that were permanently given PTSD from that. Alright, what kind of damage are we looking at you? Okay, so we're gonna need 6 shots on her. So for now, we just keep pushing through here. And whoops. That was called a manual miss. Do that for strategic reasons that don't exist. It's also known as I hit the wrong tile. And then he blocked it! And now he will block everything forever. So we're not seeing anything out of these luck bonuses yet. We will later. Once we start running katana builds and stuff like that, we're going to start seeing a lot more effect out of it. Ouch. So I'm not taking care of these octopi just yet. What I want is for the right side, so I'll take their shots, and then for these left ones to start going for the squishies. We're going to start turning on trajectory next round. Actually, we might as well start using that right now. So now, so octopi are weird now, in that they don't have Aqua Veil anymore, so they gotta actually be in the water to use their abilities. But they're quite a lot stronger. So yeah, no more cheat water, as in the Blastoise effect, I guess you could call it. But they hit like a friggin' truck if they actually do get their moves off. So definitely worth using. There's more than enough water tiles in this game, as opposed to, you know, most of the other ones. I think like maybe this and March of the Black Queen are probably the best in terms of actually making use of land-specific units. Like, as much as I love Knight of Lotus, it's kind of hilarious that they have 2 unique water-type water units. And both of them are, well, there's just no real point in using them. It's like, okay, you can. I mean, nobody's stopping you from using them, but you gotta consider that the entire map freezes over for more than half the game, so, you know, it might be something to consider. A little bit of a problem there, you know, just a tiny little bit of thing. Alright, let's get you moving back real quick, finish off this Mr. Octopi. Octopod, go dead! Alright, get this wizard out of the way. And then we should probably be good to just move forward. Alright, that is a lot of loot bags. Lots and lots of loots. See if Mr. Rakes responded by chance. Let's see. Do a slow little creep forward, and then we'll give it one more round. Not to go deal with Josephine, who will then run away and then disappear, and then hope somebody remembers her in the post-game. Or she just randomly appears holding one of the fortresses, and she's like, yes! I just kind of decided to hang out here. It's nice here, why are you invading my house? I mean, if you think about it, that'd be pretty awesome. It's like if you just lived in a type of situation, like they play it out as a bad thing in this game, because, you know, they're kind of hiding out in there. But how awesome would it be? Like, you get a group of friends, you get everybody together, it's like, okay, we're gonna go just live in a fortress now. And so you just basically go in, you move into an abandoned fortress, you renovate the place. Why does nobody ever renovate the place? I know it's probably mechanically difficult to implement, but just like, there's all these forts just kind of hanging around on the outskirts of the map, no real use for them aside from people wanting to kind of squat there. So you just renovate the dang things. You know, you, I don't know, add some nice doors, maybe add a roof to those places. I mean, they've got some interiors, I suppose. And just, yeah, just go live in there. I mean, hell, I'd love to live in a renovated version of one of those. Sounds like a good sitcom. It's like Cribs of Valeria. Home Improvement show. Yeah, that'd be great. Just like following Josephine around, just rehabbing all the fortresses. That's what she was seriously trying to do when she ends up getting killed off in the post game. She's like, no. Survived all this. I even got some good ratings. Bachramers were giving me some very nice reviews. Josephine's Fortress Improvement. Maybe the Tigers of Burnham are just kind of their construction crew that she forgot to pay, or deliberately tried not to pay. So they just got all pissed off because she was just there pretending to be a government representative or something. That would have been amazing. Dang priest didn't pay us. So I guess it's time to stage a coup. She just convinced everybody it was all Denham's fault. Like, yep, he totally owes you. Hello there, Tank Ronin. Yep, well, for now, yes. So, yeah, this is with the OV mod. I forget if I showed you that, but yeah. So this is with the OV mod, so everybody keeps telling me over and over, like, oh yeah, the archers are useless in OV. How dare you say they're amazing? So here's the thing. Right now, yes, we are getting a level advantage. We're pretty much at the point where, as you can see there, we're starting to just do regular damage now. See, there's an old Wallister window. It has the bloodstains from Genocide. Oh yeah. but it's a historic neighborhood, so we got to paint over it. Just kind of leave it all on there. They're gonna go through with a UV light to make sure it's still there. But yeah. So yeah, Tank Ronin, have you played the mod before? By the way, I'm mostly having them take shots for the purpose of just building up their skills right now. Oh, sweet! Okay, you haven't played the mod. Okay, so, yeah. It is a different graphic for Sarah. It's actually a new graphic for all of them. So this is the One Vision Rebalance. I think I have it set as a command if you do !One Vision. It should come up with the mod, which this is the currently a testing version of version 93. Basically, it's a complete overhaul for the entirety of Tactics Overlooked. Redoes every single one of the items, skills, just abilities, everything. Every single thing's redone to try to make the game respect its own lore better, to respect its own balance better. So, for example, archers being the accurate but lower power option has kind of generally been their whole thing. So they are essentially nerfed to be able to do that. Your heavy hitters are actually heavy hitters now. So, like, for example, Terror Knights are actually a proper frontliner. Your Berserkers will actually be able to hit harder than archers and that kind of thing. So everything works as you would think it would work. Two-handed swords actually do a pretty okay job of punching past armor. That kind of thing. If you didn't know, there was a functional armor system in the game all along, and they never used it. so yeah, that part is amazing. Let's see. Is your face actually matching with this? Well, I get it. The funny part is I used to have a horse tail. Like, I used to have hair going down, like, to here. Like, I had a, like, full-on tail going. And yeah, ultimately, I I had had it for years. I had it when my kids were born, and one day my wife was saying she was going to the barber shop. I was like, you know what if I cut my hair off today? She's like, you know what? Yes, please. So I did. Let's see, last time I actually had the Southwestern suit thing going on. That I did. Today I just got the sweater going on. But yeah, was basically just gonna wear a different suit every time that a new version came out. So once 93 launches proper, we'll get the suits out again. Because that's the thing. I used to be a business traveler, so I've got a decent amount of suits, most of which still fit. So it's kind of surprising. They were all gotten on sale because I'm a cheap bastard. But yeah. So just kind of wear what feels appropriate at the time. So there we go. Nadine's gone. And actually, come to think that, let me double check one thing here. Yeah, there we go. She did come in with a partial defensive set. With our current advantages, we're still able to get past this. If she comes in with light armor plus the shield and helmet, usually bows will start doing pretty negligible damage. Like even right now, it still took a pretty decent amount of punch to get through that. Yep, goodbye. Get out of here, Nadia. Enjoy the dirt. But yeah. So version 93, the public release version should be... it sounded like he was releasing it within the week. Because it seems like the invisible golem glitch was fixed. The last thing he was actually working on was updating the text from Lenar. So after the first Chrysero fight, he basically says, okay, you know, you need to hold off on attacking Nibith unless you're actually ready. And it sounded like he was putting that down from 7 to 6, so that they come in with a bit less advanced equipment, just in case somebody doesn't want to rush it. I will say, again, last time we tested it with one level under what you should have at that point and basic equipment. It was still technically possible to get away with robbing that Necromancer mark from him. But it's just kind of up to you there. So you really want to play this game, need to find an English version though. By the way, hi there, Bulbul. Haven't seen you in a bit. But yeah, this game is amazing. See, the first Nibith fight is Undead sucks since he resummons them in high advantage. That's the thing. That's what I was showing off last time. You don't fight him directly. You don't fight his dudes directly. If you just run everybody past them, what the hell is he gonna do? You literally just run everybody past him and surround him and beat the hell out of him. That's how you do that fight. So what I was trying to show off is Sarah. The reason that she looks like a rogue is because she actually comes in as a rogue now. So in version 93, she comes in as a rogue. She comes in at level 1 though. So if you run two Tynmouth fights, you can get Steel. Or you can just go do, 2 story fights, whatever. So after that, she can get Steel, and then if you use Steel on Nibith, again, drops and stealables are updated for Chapter 1 exclusively at the moment. I was talking about this earlier, but basically, it turns out that every single friggin' unit in this entire game is hand-placed with hand-picked drops and everything else. So he has, like, thousands of units to go through to actually update it all. I mean, seriously, props to the crazy bastard, because holy crap, that is a lot to go through. Point being, though, you can get a Necromancer in Chapter 1 now. There will be, it sounds like he's adding drops for Necromancer abilities from Undead Mages or something like that. So we'll be getting those at some point. The purpose of this run specifically is to test out just how much mileage we can get out of luck builds. So there's 3 classes in particular that I really, really like using for luck builds. Unfortunately, I don't have access to 2 of them just yet. Namely, we're testing out ninjas, swordmasters, and archers, which are often cited as being relatively underpowered. Personally, they're some of my favorites, so this is like a contrarian, look, you can totally do it kind of thing, which it's not intended to sound as douchey as that sounds. I just want to show that it can be done. Because even though they seem underpowered at first, you gotta figure out the tricks. Like, every class is something too, you just gotta figure out the tricks. But yeah, so, like I was saying, you just don't fight Nibith. You don't fight him directly. Because he himself, he's got upgraded armor and stuff like that, in the One Vision mod. His units are overall better, but your units are better too. And again, you can just run everybody right past him. Everybody's got Swift Foot built in, so any movement bonuses they would have gotten in the original game, by the end of the game, they already just have, for the most part. I believe the only exception was Juggernauts, which have one less ultimate movement, but one more on average. As in, like, I believe they had Swift Foot 2 plus 1 extra mobility, so I think they just wound up with 2 extra mobility rather than 3. Don't quote me on that. It's just, I believe it was something like it would have been really overpowered early on or something. But yeah. I think it's !1 vision. Let me, Can somebody type that in, actually? I don't have my my stuff up right now. We just put in !1 vision, it should come up. For those that haven't played it. And actually, Buell, PM me on just about any... Oh, there we go. There we go. There it is. Wait, Streamlabs just does that? Oh, no, wait, there we go. Sorry, I thought I had voice commands for a second. Sorry, I'm dumb. I'm bad at things. What a shock, right? Oh, another thing for you guys. Guests. Guests have player control for Chapter 1 now. It isn't updated for Chapter 2, 3, 4, etc. Again, there were some bugs to work through, including the fact that, well, golems became invisible. There's a lot of weird crap that happens. Like, at this point, all golems got smashed into one class, with exception to the AI golems, so Damask and Flesh golems are still out there. But you don't have, like, stone, iron, clay, and boulder, like, because there was really no point to it. Just, you eventually upgraded to boulder anyway. Background stat bonuses aren't a thing anymore, so there was really no reason to have 4 types. So it's like the SNES version now, where you basically have just golem. Like, it is a golem. PM you for one now. I actually have a thing I generally hand out for folks that are looking for help with setting up the mod who want to try it. So I can help you get you set up with a thing. If you want any assistance with that and all that kind of thing. I forget if I have if I have the link to the guide on here. But yeah, I always like to see more folks trying out the mod. It's so good. Like, the original game was really good too, but it had that feeling where it just wore on you after a while, just like an MMO. But man, like, I can just do run after run after run of this and just still love it every time, because it just flows so much better. You don't have those ruts. Like, sometimes you want a rut, so that's when you would, like, you would go and give the vanilla run a little bit more of a go. Like, look at this. This is one of the new things for version 93, which is trajectory. Previously, this ability had only one purpose, which is that it gave you a shot line indicator. So it was basically a laser sight for whatever ranged weapons you had. Funnily enough, casters could use it in vanilla. They could use trajectory, but it didn't work with casting abilities. So you basically just had a thing that said, "Hey, here's where you can throw a rock for 1 damage." And that's worth your skill slot. So yeah, now what it does is you can just use it as an activatable ability as well, because if somebody had played the game for a while, they would just automatically know this stuff. So yeah, in this case, you can use it to get a True Flight buff, which is about a 40% accuracy bonus, so it makes your archers a lot better. It's like right there, it boosted them up from like 54 or whatever it was to 94. It's very, very handy. Like, any buffs in this version will be a lot more effective than you remember them being in the original game. Just because in the original, it kind of, like, if you think about it in Pokemon terms, the way that it worked with all your passive buff abilities and stuff like that, it's like, imagine if you had Growl or something like that, and you could, just like as one of your passives, you stack that on an enemy 4 times if you're attacking them just automatically. So if you had the ability to throw that buff on them for a 5th one, it really won't matter that much, because you've already got 4 of them stacked up. Which I think was the same thing of being able to stack up 6 times, so it seems fitting. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. I'm not very privy to a lot of the specifics as far as the Pokemon metagame, but whatever. I think it's 6 stacks that you can get on that. Maybe. Something like that. Anyway. So yeah. Folks that complain that archers are underpowered in the mod. Folks that complain that ninjas are underpowered. Folks that complain that swordmasters are underpowered. That's kind of the purpose of this run. That I just want to show that all of them can be good. Except every time that I tried calling it the Asia % run, something happened in life to prevent me from doing this run. Like, either I got sick, or something happened, so ultimately it just became this kind of, it just became this almost, I don't know, superstitious thing. It's like, every single time, like, And I mentioned that I'm gonna do the run tomorrow, and I'm sick. Or the kids are super sick. Or, hell, you know, just some random thing destroys the day out of nowhere. Or just suddenly there's a bunch of work catastrophes that I gotta go deal with. So yeah, as you can see here, they're not doing very much against the heavy units. These guys are coming in with heavy armor, heavy shields. This is even, they aren't even running accessories yet. So once they start running might rings and stuff like that, that's when you start seeing bow damage function almost exclusively towards taking out squishies. But that's the thing, you don't use them for damage. Like, I mention this pretty regularly, but there's 2 functions that they do. One of them is harassment. So, just kind of think about it in historical terms, really. Like, if you've got a bunch of relatively badly armored enemies, those are the ones that you put your arrow towards. I mean, sure, if you hit a heavy guy enough, you'll end up damaging their armor to the point that you'll be able to get through, but generally, you don't use them for that. You go for the unarmored ones, you make sure that they're a problem that has to be dealt with, just keep the harassment up, and then, with their finishers, you can actually deal with tanks that way. So they've got 4 different finishers, as they've always had. The first one, so leaden shot, is still the same as or weighted shot, sorry. And it's still the same that it was before, where it leadens them. For those that didn't know, this was only discovered a few months ago, but that actually reduces their evasion by about 40%. You've got your secondary one, which will be your sleep move. You've got your third one, which is Starfall, which is an AoE move. And then you've got your, what even is, I believe the 4th one is, it's either Bind or Shackle at this point. I forget. That one's actually been updated a few times, so I need to double check that. Because the Charm move was removed because it was being spammed way too much compared to everything else. So, basically every weapon type has a sort of theme to their finishers now. If the weapon's a generally heavy weapon, they're going to have damage scaling. If they're a relatively light weapon, so in the case of a bow, they're still going to do regular shot damage, but they've got an extra debuff attached to it. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. So, bows are generally for harassment, so you're not going to get a whole lot of crazy damage or whatever out of them. You can do pretty alright with Starfall. That one's the one that does a pretty wide area. So, for example, if you're running a dagger and shortbow archer, and you sneak them around to the back, and then you've got a bunch of like clustered up healers or archers or whatever else, you drop that on them, you're going to get some crazy damage out of it. But generally, it just depends on who you use it for. Personally, like that kind of setup, I prefer on rogues or ninjas or something like that. But either way, we'll get to that. We'll get to all that in due time. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about the mod whatsoever, just ask away. Like, there's no dumb questions. Because everything's been asked at some point, and I'm more than glad to share whatever I know. Because I absolutely love testing this thing. And by the way, if you go over to the Reddit, if any of you want to test out the alpha version early, Rake's actually put a note in, put a link. Actually, no, I put his link in the guide as well. If you go to niche-games.com, it's actually in the guide now. So I updated it with the alpha guide, as well as the he updated a class growth chart for anybody that was interested in that kind of thing. So those are in there. So yeah, if you want to know those things, they exist. Hopefully that helps. I think the command is !guide for the guide. I don't remember if I put it in, but if I did, it would most certainly be there. Alright, you got a shot? Yes, you do. So that'll be checkmate right there. And then I will go around and make sure everybody's got their lunch. There we go. Arycelle is a rip. By the way, the visual jank is nothing to do with a mod. It's actually just the way that I run the emulator. Because I turn off simulate block transfer effects to make it a little bit smoother. There we get the scene for her just wanting to bail. Okay. Dewey has items. Have you played Karsha on cell phones? I can't see your description and stuff. Oh. Okay, I haven't played Karsha. Actually, I haven't heard of that one. Let's see, close marks. Yeah, we don't have those just yet. Do we have crafting books, though? Okay, no crafting books just yet. Which is fine. The crafting books actually don't make sense to even have just yet. Because basically you can't even craft any of the side grades just yet. That all starts out with Baldur stuff. Anyway, I'm going to be right back real quick because I have to go hand out lunch to the kiddos. So if you have any questions about the mod or anything else, feel free to post them here, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'll see you in just a sec. Hello again. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So, it's an IRPG that's pretty complicated. I actually need to do some research on decide all the combinations. Let's see. Started playing it since finishing FO Tactics sooner than I meant to. That's the research just to see if you get wrecked. Okay, I'll give it a little bit of a look. I might... First off, what do you mean by IRPG exactly? Like, should be an SRPG or something. But let's see. It's usually a method for research. Carshare is somewhere on my to-be playlist. Never knew anyone actually played it. Kind of wondering why I never heard of it. Is it, like super anime-esque? Because that might have been why. Typically speaking, whenever there's anything like that, that's probably why I haven't seen it before. Because I probably have seen it, and then my brain's like, no, get those giant eyes out of here. Something like that. Man, Darza's just always picking on somebody. So in this particular method, presumably Zapan here was hired to protect the folks that were over here or something. Didn't quite end up working out for him. TRPG, wear your glasses. I'm not seeing the T on here. I don't know. It's also probably because I'm looking back at I'm looking at the screen, so I'm seeing the other stuff behind it. I guess that could be a T, if it's really tiny. Because I don't have the actual chat thing up, I just have like the replay. So that's probably why. But yeah, I'll give it a look. We'll add it to the list, the ever-growing list that I swear I'll get to at some point. All right. So, not really anything to save Zapan for in this one. If you're running Berserkers up to this point, he's kind of worth saving because he can come in with some better stuff. Actually, hang on. Okay, maybe not. Never mind. I thought there was some stuff going on. Yeah, we're basically going to get rogues and swordmasters right when we need to. Because right now the archers are starting to drop off. But even with this diminished damage at this point, you can see they're still doing stuff. They're probably going to do next to nothing to Darza himself, but he's going to come down here and he's going to get a ton of shots. Let's see, 2 rules, be nice and have fun. What if I don't want to have fun? Well, just go ahead and be a grump then. I mean, what am I going to do to stop you? Pretty sure the mods here are more likely to do anything, more likely to stop anything than I will. Because more than likely I will completely forget what button does what, and just ask somebody else to do it. This is kind of how that goes. And just about everybody's a mod, so... let's see, I think Pan, Cerebo, Evan, Cow, who else? Like, I'm pretty sure more than 2/3 of the people that regularly show up are just mods now. So why not? Alright, he's starting to have a bad day. There's a chance we can save him. But yeah, hello there, Mr. Ashkadelan. Let's see. Played a little, but my older brother finished it. Apparently used to be a Blockbuster rental exclusive. The art's the same guy does Final Fantasy art. Let's see, what's up with this mod, and how's that 15 mod coming along? So yeah, Cerebo's actually currently lurking in the chat here, if you want to ask him about that. That mod is going along great. So yeah, it's feeling real good at this moment. It's actually felt good pretty much all the way throughout it. He's got a lot of people testing it, and yeah, it's coming along solidly. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's not publicly released yet, but it's still going. This mod is going amazingly as well. This is the version 93 version 93 alpha test of One Vision. As far as what it's about, essentially, Lucked itself, if you've never played it, is a game that had a crap load of features, but they never had time to balance most of them. So you wound up with a bunch of, shall we say, interesting situations, like, for example, bows in particular and archers in particular. Two-handed bows, daggers, and one-handed katanas did like inexplicable amounts of extra damage because of a bunch of hidden bonuses that they got. By Zapan, we tried to save you. Oh well. But yeah, it's a game with way more content than any other SRPG I've ever seen. It's generally like really smoothly implemented, but the problem is the balancing and the way that they handle a lot of the systems. Like they didn't end up using a lot of the systems they put in there, at least not to their full effect. And that's what this mod does. It essentially goes through. It basically rebalances everything to try and respect the lore of the game a lot better, because the story and all of its branching paths and everything else is something that people praise this one for. Wow, we do pretty piss poor damage to Darza. That's fine. That's fine. We got this. Anyway, so yeah, the story and the writing and all that is something that's been very highly praised about this game. So the fact that the original took some weird missteps with not actually following what should have been the story, basically. In some cases, there were imbalances from the original SNES and PS1 versions that were kind of seemingly carried over just kind of because they felt like it, I guess, or they wanted to respect it. Like one of those being that Terror Knights, despite being difficult to get, generally just sucked. So in the original SNES and PS1 version, there was a morale system. So if there was a Terror Knight around, it caused the stats of every enemy around it to drop. This was a character that had to have gotten 25 kills on their own, and due to the fact that there is a permadeath system in that game, actually in both of these games, but this one's a bit more forgiving about it, you essentially wound up with a case where you had a guy that had to survive a very long time to get 25 kills to be able to even unlock the class. It was only available on one route, and then you finally got it, and then you realized, okay, aside from that debuff thing, their stats are garbage and frontliners are garbage. Why would I ever use this? So anyhow, so what the remake did, it added a whole bunch of systems, like an armor system. It added a whole bunch of different affinity systems and everything else. But the thing was, like I said, they seemingly ran out of time and didn't exactly balance at all. So you had stuff, for example, like archers being your premier anti-armor unit, as well as your main damage dealer throughout most of the game. Like even characters in heavy armor and everything else usually just got completely just smushed to the side by archers. And that's largely because they weren't supposed to have such a large damage bonus. How do I even explain this? The way that the armor system works, or the way that it's supposed to work, is that there's an actual attack and defense value for each one, combined with certain elements from vitality. So, if we go over here, this is all stuff that was added in the mod, by the way. So it tells you here, this will add to your defense. Originally, this just said, oh yeah, this makes you a little bit tougher. Or this one tells you that strength makes you tougher as well. So characters that had high strength and vitality would, be able to wear light armor and whatever else and just kind of shrug off hits. But then you had this over here, which is your bonus damage. So if weapon's attack value gets past that defense value, using whatever accrued stats there are, this is a bonus damage that's added. And so what you essentially could do in the original was that you had really high bonuses that were kind of hidden added on the bow. So this one only has a 4% bonus to its damage once it gets past armor. I think originally this was 12 or higher, whatever else. And on top of that, it got a hidden bonus, which I want to say it was what was it, 20, 30 or something? Plus, on top of that, you had your weapon skill that added to it. You had your augments that added to it. You had racial skills that added to it. So ultimately, you wound up with archers that could basically decimate anything. But yeah, point being, there were imbalances. Frontliners were pretty much pointless to use by a certain point in the game. It's just there were a lot of cool systems they didn't get used right. You had armor that gave you a 1% resistance to a specific type of damage. It's what is that for? What does that do? You have an armor system, why don't you use it? Oh, and thank you for the subscription, Mr. Cashadon. Thank you. And so yeah, ultimately, what this mod did is it came in, it gave each armor a purpose, it added different categories to everything, it added a sort of universality to a lot of things. A good example for going through it, you had light armors, for example, that were present throughout the game, but after you got to a certain point, even your light armors were kind of heavier than a lot of other stuff from the past, meaning that even light armors were making you very slow. You had characters that were previously quick getting way down to a pretty ridiculous degree and stuff like that. And yeah, so this mod just rebalances everything. The effort that the guy has gone through when making this thing is just beyond insane. Like, the moment right now... By the way, sorry, I know there were some comments. I'm getting to those in just a sec. Like, right now, just this current one still involved thousands of edits just to get Chapter 1 out. To update... Because of the hundreds of fights in this game, I think actually... Wasn't there like 1,700 fights, actually, now that I think about it? Like, there's, like, a pretty much nausea-inducing amount of content in this game. So it's not surprising that even with a full team, they never managed to balance it. But essentially, yeah, right now he's just, like, manually going through, and some genius decided, let's put every single unit in individually. And that's what they did. And it has to adjust for level. It has to adjust for what your progress is in the story. It has to adjust for who lived or died in the story. Like, the amount of effort that they put in unnecessarily is hilarious. Like, if they just had some type of templates that they could have set up for everything, this game probably would have been way better balanced from the very start. But anyway, so yeah, this mod makes everything make sense. So, you know, bows, kind of a harassment weapon. They aren't going around pasting everything. Light armor, gonna help you out with evasion, like it shows here. You get some slight bonus to your defense, some slight bonus to your health, and slight bonus to your avoidance. You get stuff like this, specifically sniping bracers, so they up your crit rate, they help your dex. They're probably not going to be very useful for a lot of frontline fighters, though. You know, just everything does what you would think it does. You get more options available to more classes from the very start. Like, a mission that absolutely bugged the hell out of me in the original game was this right here. Friggin' spears. So now warriors can use them. Like, right here, it says... Oh, well, it's updated now to a short spear made for one-handed use. Originally, the text for the bronze spear said it's a simple weapon that anybody can use. And in the original game, you had a bunch of soldier units at the start that came with spears, and they were pretty good. And yeah, remake comes along. My favorite unit to use in any game from the entire series was just always the basic soldiers. Give them each a spear, and you have two of them go on either side. There we go, there's the camera. Go on either side. One attacks here, the other one counterattacks, so they're just like poking, and then they're getting two stabs off for one action. And so that little formation, despite causing self-damage, was just like one of those ones that I really love doing. Anyway, so yeah. Now that's actually in the game. One-handed spears are in the game. Previously they were only two-handed and they were very weak. You have hammers getting a few more options. You've got axes that actually swing with different speeds. Every single weapon has a secondary effect, like with your axes here. Your primary axes can do like a defense debuff. You can lower defense upon hit. Your hammers can stun. Your spears will give you a bonus to your parry. Like, it's just everything does what you would think it would do. It feels great. It feels absolutely great. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Can wholeheartedly recommend it. Anyhow. So that's usually how I do my research, but Kasha seems to have a lot more... Let's see. I feel a lot more lost than I did when I first started playing March of the Black Queen. True. That's some next level confusion. Looking forward to seeing that. See, what about the cards you have to use to switch jobs? Any changes to that? There's more jobs available sooner. So even though the cards are technically the same, sort of, there's actually a decent amount of changes. So first of all, you get a rogue and necromancer potentially if you play your cards right in Chapter 1. They're hidden behind little like kind of mini challenges, as it were. Well, I mean, the rogue you just get Sarah right here comes in as a rogue. So yeah, she actually keeps the rogue look now as well. So that's just kind of her unique, even though she's an archer right now. Voltaire stays as a knight. Again, just given unique looks because you get them every time. They're unique characters. They're counted as unique by the game, so it's just a good way to denote that anytime that the game is saying, hey, you can only use a generic character for this, that, or the other, these guys are unique. Previously, there was always kind of that weird thing of like, hey, you know, X or Y isn't working. These guys are clearly unique. They're changing their sprite. What's going on? Or not unique, rather. But yeah, the game considers them unique. So as far as those go, your lizard classes are available way sooner. You saw that we got the crafting, the Ways of the Wild crafting book. You always get that at the second Quadriga fight. That will give you access to all of the lizard classes by early chapter 2. So you can just use that to make them. You get access to Terror Knights at the same time that you get Knights, because they're essentially their equivalent now. You gain access to Sword... Well, I think it was Swordman. No, not yet. You gain access to your second tier of classes in early Chapter 2, or Chapter 1, rather than waiting until Chapter 3. You gain access to Rogues and Swordmasters about the same time you gain access to Farampa, so you don't have to go through and farm in order to unlock them. For your unique classes, if you don't want to go through getting Arycelle, or you don't want to go through all that business, but you want to have those classes available to Denim, you can actually just get the transcription crafting book and pick them up from there. So class marks for that, again, you don't have to grind them. For all unique classes or rare classes or that kind of thing, you can just make them using transcription. So that's floor 13, I believe, of Palace of the Dead. So you still get them way earlier and way easier than it would have been going otherwise. Specifically for stuff like the Knight Commander class, which was previously either you got to get to level 30 plus and fight a Knight Commander boss, or you have to go and wait for it to rain and make it rain on one of the highway maps, specifically the bridge map, and then you got to go pickpocket a frickin' zombie, which... Why? Why would you put it there? The priest class mark was previously you had to go all the way to the very end of Farampa and then get a lucky pickpocket on a specific priest that spawns in on the very last map. Again, with the why. That's like, she had that job her entire life. Why does she have to go through so much effort to unlock it? Bear in mind, even if you picked up Holy Water earlier in the game, she's technically a different class at that, or she's a different unit when you pick her up the second time, so you don't get to keep it. What else? Basically, every class got improved. So, for example, you know how Vice teleports around in the story a couple times? Like, specifically that time when he just, like, magically teleports behind a guy and puts a knife to his neck? He can do that in-game now. He gets an ability that gives him a backstab bonus, plus allows him to teleport for a single movement. So yeah, he can just do that now. It's pretty great. Basically, every class does what they're able to do in the story, so it feels real good. All your weapons are more available than they were before, so your standard weapons are just good out of the gate. Your craftables are actually guaranteed now, and also no longer an upgrade, but a side grade. So, for example, right now I'm using standard longbows on all my archers. If I wanted to upgrade them to siege bows, they would fire a little bit slower. They'd have slightly worse accuracy, but they would be able to gain, I believe it's 5 extra tiles of range or something like that. But they would lose the ability to shoot beyond that range. So they get much better vertical forgiveness, and then they can shoot much farther, vertically. But then, yeah, they lose some of their close range, and they lose some of their far range. So those are like, you specifically need heavy damage. Right here, you've got a very accurate archer already. You just need a specific thing that's slightly higher, and those are your siege bows. Or, for example, with your one-handed swords, you'd upgrade them to bastard swords. You just extend the handle a little bit. They get more damage, but they now take both hands, but they're essentially like a diet two-hander that you can use for extra damage while still using the one-handed skill set. With your two-handers, you can upgrade them to a version that's less accurate but more powerful, which is really good for like Terror Knights and Warriors with their 100% hit chances. For spears, you can upgrade them to have that 2 to 3 tile range you used to get at endgame. So this applies to both the one-handed and two-handed spears. But essentially, you'd just be able to upgrade their range in order to get more, in order to get more oomph out of them if you needed that longer range stab. Or you could keep them as the shorter ones and they weigh a little bit less. Like, there's just a bunch of cool stuff. Like, all your shields can be upgraded to have a secondary effect. They're good out of the gate. They come with a parry bonus or a deflect bonus or something like that right out of the gate. And then you can upgrade them or side grade them so that instead of a knockback, you get, for example, like a silence or a stun. Like a heavy tower shield or something like that. You side grade it. Suddenly it's able to do a stun instead of a pushback. So there's all kinds of fun stuff like that. Basically, it all feels good. It doesn't feel like there's, just trash items in there for the hell of it. All your units are just generally more competent. They're going to be, again, good just right out of the gate. You don't have to train them for an extended period of time. All your skills train much faster, so you don't have to spend time grinding. Just it feels more like a Tactics Ogre game and less like an MMO. Let's put it that way. And yeah, here's Mr. Catalio with his actually being the same level as us, and you can see we're doing nothing to him because he's actually got armor on. Yeah, so your Terror Knights are actually scary. I think that's probably one of my favorite changes, with Terror Knights coming in and being able to detonate Rampart Shadows and stuff like that. It feels real good. You feel properly scary. Monks, as you might be able to tell by the fact that we're doing different damages to all of them, have the ability to come in with heavier equipment, so they get more defensive stuff. Their heals get a little bit of scaling to them. I'm actually going to leave Gatalio alive this time. And hang on, something's trying to update. Why is it trying to update now? Why is it always trying to update? I showed this before, but Trajectory actually has a usability now. There's just so much. And I literally have a full guide dedicated to this. And still, I've never been able to come up with a full description of all the stuff this mod does and keep it under an hour. It just can't be done. I mean, the very shortest version of the changelog at this point is almost 80 pages long. So yeah, there's some changes. Gotta respect the amount of effort he puts in. That's crazy. There's just so much in there. Like, I've had folks ask me before why, oh, let's see. Going to sleep. I'll be checking out Karsha Wednesday morning if you want to check it out. Oh, okay. Sounds like fun. Feel free to ask about it in chat if you want also. I will see you then, Mr. Bulbul. Hang on, Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Okay. I'll, no, actually, I can just set it on my watch. If I can remember where to set the notice for. What time? Around. It's just gonna be an all-day thing, or? Alright, well, assuming you already went, so I'm just gonna say Wednesday in general. Probably set it for, let's see, 9 AM or so? Alright. Well, hopefully it's around there. Alright, let's finish mopping this up a little bit. I'm not sniping Josephine just yet, I'm just kind of getting rid of some of her support here. Just because I want him to leave the map, because he will decide to fight you if you end up killing her before anything else. So, I'd like to go ahead and make sure that she's out of the way. Or, not out of the way. Everybody else is out of the way. There we go. I figured out how words work. Apparently use them to make noises, and, you know, occasionally it doesn't get you punched in the face. It's good. Alright, let's just turn on Tremendous, get a little bit of extra damage on this guy to make sure that the next one is a finisher. It's probably enough to not really worry about it, but there we go. Just in case he's got some very specific damage out of nowhere. Or resistance out of nowhere. More than likely, Gatalio is going to take one swing at somebody, and that'll be that. There we go. And who do we have left? Yeah, Josephine's probably way back here, or Winoa, rather. There's a couple Tremendouses. Say early morning, maybe starting 3 AM. Oh, well, I mean, my kiddo might be up at that point. Okay, we'll see. Typically he gets up around that time to eat, so I might be able to drop by and take a peek at that point. It's one of the times that my son can get up and want to have his nighttime feeding. No, Winoa, stop stealing our loot! So Rakes has mentioned at one point that this whole AI stealing the loot shenanigans might be fixable. I don't know, again, whether that's anything close by or likely to happen anytime soon, but he's mentioned turning them into sort of one tile height obstacles so that you can't actually pick them up mid-fight, which should make them all stay. And might potentially add some interesting elevation shenanigans, but again, I don't know where he actually is on that at this point, so that's kind of neither here nor there, currently. Pew. Oh, usually ended around 8 AM? Oh, well, okay, we'll see. I'll try to make it by. Basically, if my kiddo gets up at that point, I will be up at that point. If not, then I will make sure to watch the replay. I'm interested in taking a look at that. And they're getting their heal off here. Alright, what else can we do here? Probably just continue sniping. Is he going to get anywhere anytime soon? Now he's going to go for the mass poison cloud. Yeah, Terranoids can actually do damage. How about that? With their casting abilities, I mean. Poison cloud can actually do some stuff. No worries. Well, what if I feel like worrying about it, dang it? It's like one of those weirdly specific scenarios where just doing some random thing causes your entire schedule to change if you think about it. It may potentially change your entire life. Like, I think my favorite one was this one time where I had a very busy sales week a couple weeks ago, and there was an email that at any other time I would have missed and would have potentially, like, just completely screwed my finances for months to come. And then off some random fluke, like, I think I was filling a vending machine because I had a vending job at the time, and something like I dropped a bottle and it went rolling away, and then like I dropped my phone or something and happened to catch that email a few minutes before it would have been too late to reply. I ended up saving that entire week. Like, man, there's some lucky crap right there. There's some divine intervention kind of stuff. Alright, that should be about it. Let's see. We're gonna crit finish? No, let's just do that. She's gonna get one heal off, that's fine. Everyone else is just gonna sit around. Vitalia's gonna escape so that he can be a boss later. Technically speaking, we could beat him, even with archers. It just would take about 25 shots, give or take. Goodbye, Catalio. You've marked everyone's faces well, I know. Now to buy him as much time as we can. Well, that'll be about 3 seconds. She basically is like, oh yeah, let me buy him as much time as I can. Instantly takes 2 arrows to the face. Well, that didn't work out too well. He's like 10 feet over there, but we're just not going to bother chasing him. Despite the fact that he's one of the slower classes in the game. Pop. Let's get that tremendous spam going. Could potentially roll the +3 on damage, but that's fine. That's fine, we're done here. There we go. Yep. Now the rest. Yeah, I would love to see Gatalio coming in with armor that he shouldn't have. Like right now, okay, that's all well and cool that he's coming in with, you know, basic heavy armor and stuff like that. But can you imagine if he came in with, like, full dragon scale or something? That'd be great. And we technically skipped one of the best lines in the game. Watch out for that Gatalio, he is the danger. Alright, now we got some stuff. Okay. We don't have them yet. I want to say it's right after Phydock. Yeah, we're about to get to Chapter 2. I don't know why I'm trying to save. It is the no save run after all. Shouldn't have another bow yet. Yeah, just Boulder for now. So heavy bows are still fine. Oh wait, we might have Brigandines though. Yeah, or Cuirasses, sorry. Alright, let's go sell some stuff, get those Cuirasses. Yeah, a lot more random vendor trash in this one. Just for the sake of keeping you up to date with the better economy and stuff like that. Alright, I don't think we can get Field Elk on everybody just yet. We need 10 Querces if we can afford it. Yeah. Just. Are Nomads out? Yes. Just shy. Okay. Need about 2 grand. Alright, perfect. So now, we're getting onto full luck build territory. Once we get the Codex of Gems, we can start building towards luck rings and that kind of thing, and then we're just gonna be crazy on that. Gonna be fun. Right. Sorry for anybody that it drives nuts that I have some of these in the wrong slots. It's just kind of how they landed. Would it be much effort to fix? No. Am I going to? No. Probably going to fix that one. I just didn't want that pop-up. Let's see, skill-wise, is there anything I really even want anybody to learn aside from these? I guess double shot. That's pretty handy. Yeah, you get double shot way early in this one. Like, I think it was like 26 or something that you needed that you needed for double shot in the original. Pretty much all your skills end up coming in way earlier. It's mostly because yeah, you pretty much never got to see a lot of the better skills with that old system, which was always a shame. It's like, okay, you know, I wanna go ahead and see some cool stuff, and they're like, no, you can't have this until you spent 10 more hours grinding everybody up for no reason. What are you gonna do about that? And it's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and not play then. Which was, unfortunately, what a lot of people did. They're like, oh man, there's nothing else to do with this game. And then it turns out that they backloaded the content like crazy. So yeah, what this mod does, it ends up moving a lot of that backloaded stuff out to the front, so you can actually see it and play it and like it. Oh yeah, right, this fight. Always forget this one exists. If we're going Law, might end up picking up Yunin and just leaving him with crossbows. Probably go, maybe I'll have him be a swordmaster. We'll see. I always gotta insult Goosen. He's funny. Alright. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be wrapping up in about 10 minutes here. I was gonna see if I can go get past Rhyme. Actually, yeah, Rhyme's gonna take a hot minute, won't it? We'll see. But yeah, then we'll be continuing on after lunch. Alright, so with any luck, Goosen will decide to change his mind, run forward, which should put us in range to turn on trajectory and just pincushion the crap out of the guy. There we are. So he'll unlock ninjas for us. In fact, if we're able to, it's probably worth sniping out this one to go pick up some rogues. I believe she is the earliest that you can get rogue marks on Law. Thankfully, she decided to run forward like a genius, so yeah, we should be good. I should be able to just 2-round this. I should point out that this is that it would be the earliest in terms of this particular way through. Farampa is available at this point, so you could just go into there, but that's not very fast, so we're not going to do that. Okay, drop marks, please. Thank you. should be 6 regular shots on him. It's funny because this version of Trajectory makes me think of Age of Empires 2. Oh, that level advantage, though. Yeah, right now, we would be one-shotting people in vanilla. So Trajectory allows you to attack from the front, basically. Even on evasive characters, like I think he's probably running a double attacking build, so he's not as evasive as he could be. Let's take a look. He's alright. He's running a bigger build. There we go. Alright, so yeah, I think after this fight, I'll go ahead and call it for lunch, and then we'll be back in a little bit. There's one more shot here. Should do it. Can you make it? As long as you have Trajectory, you can. So just basically smash and grab class marks from these guys. Get a few extra classes. I don't know why I got the rogue marks, because I'm not going to use rogues. Oh well. Got ninjas. At least a couple of them. There we go, 3 ninja marks. Usually the first time that you run into a class, you can get 3 of their class mark by taking out that particular unit. That's not exactly universal, but generally pretty true. Anyway, so, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there for right now, so we'll be back, like I said, in about an hour or so. I'm not sure if Bulbul is doing anything, but there we go. Let's go ahead and do that kind of thing. And yeah, I will see you guys in just a little bit. So take care until then, and see you soon. Okay, bye.